So today I'm going to be going into the assembly of this new pit boss I got. It's their small vertical propane smoker. It's the 2 series. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing unboxed. We're going to get it ready to put it together. We'll see how in-depth it is once I get into it. Alright, so I got it all unboxed. There's a few pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and get into maybe the first step of putting this thing together. What it tells me in the first step is I'm going to take the door off, set that aside. Then we're going to put it on this bottom plate over here and start putting the legs on it. So I'm going to go ahead and get into that. Alright, so to take off that door assembly, all you have to do is just basically pick up on the door. It's got hinges right here and they'll just slide out. So that's all there is to it, to taking off the door assembly. We're going to get this set aside and we're going to start throwing the legs on it. Alright, so here we are, we're getting into putting the legs on here. It looks like there's going to be 3 screws in each leg. Now the directions say to just tighten the inside screw. Basically you're going to leave the screws on the outside just a little bit loose. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these legs on here and then we'll just keep going. Alright, so here we are, getting this last leg put on. Now what I found out it's easier to do is go ahead and get that inside screw started and then just kind of roll your grill up, or the stand up, and that allows you to line up these outside screws. Throw them in real quick. Like I said, you don't tighten the outside ones. We're only going to tighten the inside ones. So once you get those 2 outside screws thrown in, I just kind of screw them down loosely. Then you can come back around here and tighten up this inside screw. Alright, so the next step is to connect that control panel to this front legs. So what it tells you to do in the instructions is loosen the 2 screws that are already pre-assembled on the control panel. It says loosen them about 2 or 3 turns, so that's kind of what I'm going to do. Basically what they want you to be able to do is be able to flex this back, because you're going to want to be able to flex that back because you're going to want to put these 2 screws in there. So that plate should fit right in here in between these 2 legs. We're going to go ahead and screw that in there. 2 screws is all you need. Alright, so I went ahead and tightened these screws down on this control panel, and I went ahead and tightened the 2 screws that I loosened up to move the control panel a little bit. So all those screws are tightened up. I still haven't tightened up any of my outside screws. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to throw on this brace that goes across back here between these 2 back legs. Kind of helps keep it more rigid. It says you need 4 screws for that, so I'm going to go ahead and chunk this on there. Alright, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to put in these side brackets. Now it says it needs 4 screws. These are going to just slip right in here between your legs. 4 screws go in. We're going to get those thrown on. Alright, so we're getting this last one thrown on here. Like I said, I kind of get all the screws started before I tighten them up. Found out it's easier to turn the unit on its side to put the panel in there. So, you know, get these tightened down and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so the next part is we're going to start making this thing actually have something that's going to provide some smoke and some heat. So we're going to put on this burner assembly. It's got an igniter wire here, and that igniter wire is basically just going to slip over the end of this little wire right here. So we're going to go ahead and slip that wire over the end there, and just shove right on. That igniter wire will just shove right on the end of your igniter button here. And then that burner plate just kind of slides in. And then it requires 4 screws to hold it all together. So we're going to throw them 4 screws in there. Alright, so we've got that burner assembly all put on here. What I'm going to do next is I'm just going to go ahead and stand this baby upright. Kind of see what it looks like. So there we go. We got the whole bottom half assembled. Basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and tighten up all these screws on the legs that I hadn't tightened up yet. And we'll be back here in a minute to throw the rest of it together. Alright, so for the next step of the process, we went ahead and got the bottom half of the unit out of the way because we're going to be working on this top part of the unit now. So the next step is to put in your dampers. What you're going to do is you're going to insert those from the inside. And you want to make sure that this little tab, you want to make sure that that tab is sticking out because that's how you're going to adjust your heat. So you want that tab to be, like I said, you want that tab to be sticking out the back of your unit because that's going to allow you to adjust your heat. And basically once you got that vent in there, you want to slip a screw in, and then it comes with a little bitty spring washer that you're going to want to put in on the inside. So slip your screw through, put that spring washer on, and then it comes with just a little bitty nut that you're going to put on that screw on the inside. And those don't have to be tight. Like I said, you want to be able to adjust your vents, so those don't have to be tight. So we're going to go ahead and put the other one on. Alright, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to throw on this back handle back here. This is going to allow you to wheel that smoker around because the 2 of the legs on the bottom half of the smoker have wheels on them. So you'll be able to kind of wheel this around as needed. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that back handle on there. It says it needs 4 screws, so I'm going to go ahead and throw those in. Alright, so there we got it. Got that back handle thrown on. We're going to see what else we got to put together. Alright, so the next part of the process, they wanted us to go ahead and throw this main cabinet up here on the smoker. So I went ahead and did that. Now it's telling me that I've got 6 screws that I've got to put in that main cabinet to attach it to the bottom piece of the smoker. So I'm going to go ahead and throw those 6 screws in there. Alright, so we got those screws all tightened down. Make sure whenever you're tightening them down, make sure that your unit, is lined up straight. You want to kind of square it up on the bottom half of your smoker so that it's not turned. Then you can go ahead and tighten those screws down. 2 screws in the front, 2 in the back, and 1 on each side. So the next step is we're going to throw in these cooking grates, the holders for the cooking grates, and what they're going to do is they're going to go in here on the sides. What's cool about this, man, is this thing comes with ceramic coated holders for your grates, and the grates are ceramic coated, so you know it's going to be a really good machine. So we're going to go ahead and get these thrown in there. So we've got those grate holders thrown in on the side. It's really cool because, like I said, they're ceramic. Plus you can adjust them up and down depending on what you're cooking. You can move them, you know, up or down. So it's looking real good. We're going to get on to the next step. So the next step here, we've got the support tray for the water pan. It's your water pan here. This is the support tray for it. Basically that tray is going to just hold up this water pan in the bottom of your smoker. So there's two holes here in the front of your smoker that this little tray is going to fall into. That's going to keep that tray from moving around. So you just want to put it in those two holes and then it will just rest on the back of your smoker. Water tray goes right in there. Like I said, all this stuff is ceramic coated, you know, really good. So the next step here, we're gonna take and throw these cooking grates in here. Alright, we got that all together. I'm going to take a look over here at the directions, see what we've got next. You know, it's starting to look like a smoker, so we're going to finish this baby off. Alright, the next step here, we've got to get our door. You want to put this grease shield on your door. Make sure that your screw holes are on the top whenever you put this shield on, because you want that you want these to be able to catch any grease that drips down to keep it away from your door. So we're going to get that thrown on there. 5 screws is what it takes. Alright, so there it is. We've got that grease shield down here. What that's going to do is any grease that kind of drips off to the front, that shield's going to help to force it back into your grease pan down there. So we're going to move on to the next step. Alright, so the next step here, we've got to throw this door back on. Basically it's the reverse of what you did taking it off. You just want to line those pins up with the holes on the hinges, and then that door will just slip right down. So there it is. The next step is to put in this thermometer here, the heat gauge and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and get into that, get that thermometer and chunk it in. Alright, so I got this thermometer out. It comes with one wing nut, and then it comes with like a heat washer that you're going to put on the inside. So basically this thermometer has got a little dowel right here. And you just want to line that up. That allows you to make sure that it's pointing up like it should be. So, you know, throw that in there and then put on the washer and then throw on the wing nut that they provided. Screw that down. Just hand tight, you know, you don't have to really get on it, just kind of hand tight. So there it is. Next part I'm pretty sure that we're going to do is put the latch on the door, probably the handle on the door, some other stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and get into the instructions and figure out what all needs to be done for that. But if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, punch the like button. We're about to finish this baby off, and then I'll come back with a video of cranking it up, getting it nice and seasoned up before I use it for the first time. So we're going to get done with this thing. Alright, so the next step here, we've got to put on the door latch assembly. So we're going to go ahead and get in on that. What it is it's just this little black latch, and then it comes with a silicone washer. So you want to chuck that silicone washer on behind, in between the door and this bracket, and then run your screws between there and tighten them down. Alright, so we got that bracket tight on there. I screwed it down fairly tight. You don't have to put it on there real tight, I don't think. It's got that silicone washer in there, so, just snug would probably be good. Alright, so basically the next thing we've got here is this gas cylinder. This is what's going to kind of hold your propane bottle, keep it from falling over. So it goes on the bottom half of your unit here. It's got 4 screws that you've got to put in to screw that down. So I'm going to go ahead and get those 4 screws thrown in here and get that tightened up. Alright, so we've got the propane cylinder bracket installed over here on the side. The next step we're going to do is put together our wood chip tray. Now it's got a lid on top of it, so in order to make it easier with the lid not flopping around, I went ahead and just, if you pick up on that lid, you can just slide the lid out. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way while we put together the rest of it. Now, it's got this little front face that's going to go on it here, and you're going to want that front face, it's going to slide in here like this, and that front face is going to help seal up the front of the box. So you put that face on there, and then you come back and throw this handle on top of it here. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. Like I said, you got 2 screws you got to put in here. Alright, so here we are. Basically the last steps of putting this thing all the way together. Like I said, you've got your chip pan here. This is where you're going to put your wood chips at. That's going to slide in here. So we'll just take that, slide it right in the grill. It ought to fit snug with that plate that you put on there. There shouldn't be any gaps. It should fit right in there. So then the next step we've got our grease tray. This is going to catch all your drippings from your cooks. That's just going to go right down here in the bottom. Slide that in, and then we've got the knob here that is going to go on. That's going to allow you to turn on your propane supply. So we're going to go ahead and slip that knob on there. So there it is. This Pit Boss gas vertical smoker, the Series 2 model. It's all put together. Like I said, I'm going to do a video of kicking this baby off for the first time, showing you how to go through the first startup process of it, get it all seasoned up, during that video too, before we do our first cook on it. I'm going to get this baby outside and see if I can't fire it up.